Welcome to the Harper Classroom series of instructional videos. This how-to video is on MRP Part 2, the End-Item MRP with a safety stock of 0. The MRP video series on material requirements planning is a 4-part series. This video is Part 2, where I look at 3 different MRPs with a fixed minimum and lot size discipline and a safety stock of 0. I initialize the MRP with the information from the inputs on all 3 of these MRPs, and I highlight them in color, and the blue is that they're fixed and they will not change. Example 1. Fixed lot size discipline with a safety stock of 0. I highlight the colors with a safety stock and fixed lot size discipline, which I designate with a fixed number of 12, with a lead time of 2. So now let's start the MRP with a first time period. I bring down my projected stock balance, which is the same as the ending inventory for this time period. I bring it down as inventory on hand, which is the beginning inventory in the next time period. And then my projected stock balance then is going to be my inventory on hand plus my receipts. In this case, it's scheduled receipts, minus our gross requirements, yields our balance. Carry the balance down as the inventory on hand. There's no receipts, there's no requirements, so it carries over as the balance. Bring down our 16 as our inventory on hand, but this time we have a gross requirement of 13, and that's coming out of the inventory on hand of 16, which leaves a balance of 3. There's the equation, there's the calculations. I bring down the 3 as the inventory on hand, but now I don't have enough inventory on hand to satisfy my gross requirements. So that will generate a net requirement. And the net requirement is my gross requirements minus our inventory on hand. There's the equation, there's the calculation. I compare my net requirements with my lot size discipline, which is fixed at 12, which means I can only order in fixed lot sizes of 12, 24, 36, 48. But to cover this 50, I need 5 lots of 12, which is a lot size of 60. And so my Q, my lot size, is 60. I compare that lot size with my lead time, I come back to, and I have a planned order release of 60, which would generate a planned receipt of 60. And then my projected stock balance, again, is my inventory on hand plus receipts, but instead of scheduled receipts, I have planned receipts, minus gross requirements, leaves a balance of 10. Bring down the 10 as the inventory on hand in the next time period. No requirements, the 10 carries over as the balance. Bring down the 10, but this time I have 10 on hand. I have a requirement of 10, leaves a balance of 0. I bring down the 0. Now I have 0 inventory on hand, but I have a gross requirement of 3. That will generate a net requirement. I compare that net requirement with my lot size discipline, and I could only order in fixed lot sizes of 12. Since my net requirement is 3, then my lot size becomes 12. Compare that with my lead time. I come back to and have a planned order release of 12, which would generate a planned receipt of 12. My projected stock balance is my inventory on hand plus my receipts minus my requirements equals my balance of 9. There's the equation, there's the calculations. I bring the 9 down as my inventory on hand. There's no requirement, so it carries over as the balance. And there's my MRP for this problem. Now from this MRP I can generate my inventory policy. And the inventory policy is the POR, because the POR tells me how much to order and when to order, and there's my inventory policy. Example 2 is a minimum lot size discipline with a safety stock of 0. Again, I copy the input, and this time we have a minimum lot size discipline, which I will designate with a number 12 with a plus sign after it, and copy it down here for reference. Now the first time period. I bring the balance down as the inventory on hand, and then my projected stock balance will be my inventory on hand plus receipts minus requirements is a balance. The balance carries over as my inventory on hand, no requirements, the 16 carries over as the balance. The 16 comes down as inventory on hand. The 13 gross requirements will come out of the 16, leaving a balance of 3. And then the 3 is brought down as the inventory on hand. Now this time I have an inventory on hand of 3. Gross requirement of 53, that will generate a net requirement. 53 minus 3 is 50. There's the equation, there's the calculations. I compare that net requirement with my lot size discipline, which is a minimum of 12, which means everything over 12 is lot for lot. 50 is more than 12, so it's lot for lot. If I need 50, I order 50. So my lot size Q is 50. Compare that with my lead time of 2. I come back to and have a planned order release of 50, which will generate a planned receipt of 50. My projected stock balance is my inventory on hand plus my planned receipts minus my requirements equals my balance of 0. The 0 carries over as the inventory on hand. No requirements, so the 0 carries over as a balance. The 0 becomes my inventory on hand, but this time I have a gross requirement of 10, so my net requirements will be 10. Compare that with my lot size discipline, which is a minimum of 12. In order to cover that 10, I have to order a minimum of 12, so my lot size Q is 12. I compare that 12 with my lead time. I come back to, and I have a planned order release of 12. And that 12 would generate a planned receipt of 12. My projected stock balance is my inventory on hand plus my receipts minus my requirements equals a balance of 2. There's the equation, there's the calculations. I bring the 2 over as my inventory on hand, but this time I have a gross requirement of 3. So my net requirements then will be 1. I compare that with my lot size discipline of a minimum of 12, and so I have to order 12. Compare my 12 with my lead time of 2. I come back to and have a planned order release of 12, which would generate a planned receipt of 12. My projected stock balance again will be my inventory on hand plus my planned receipts minus my requirements equals my balance of 11. The 11 carries over as the inventory on hand. There's no requirements, so the 11 carries over as the balance. And so there's my MRP for this problem. And from this I can determine my inventory policy, which is my PORO, because it tells me how much to order and when to order. So now, example 3 is a lot-for-lot lot size discipline with a safety stock of 0. Again, I highlight and color the input with a safety stock of 0, and the lot-for-lot lot size discipline is LFL, and I copy that down here for reference. But for the LFL End-Item MRP, I will describe and introduce 3 LFL rules, which will streamline the generation of an End-Item MRP when it's based on LFL. First time period. As before, we bring down the balance as the inventory on hand, and the projected stock balance is the inventory on hand, plus the receipts minus the requirements equals the balance. The balance is brought down as the inventory on hand. No requirements, so it carries over as the balance. The balance is brought down as the inventory on hand minus 13, gross requirements, results in a balance of 3. The 3 is brought down as the inventory on hand, but this time we have a gross requirement of 53, and that difference will be the net requirements. Now we come to the first LFL rule. When you find the first non-zero net requirement, the lot size Q is always equal to the net requirement. LFL rule number 2. Once you've determined that first lot size, then the projected stock balance from that point on is always equal to the safety stock. Well, now we can compare our lot size with a lead time, come back to, and have a planned order release of 50, which will generate a planned receipt of 50. But rule number 3, once we've determined that first planned order release, then the planned order release after that equals the gross requirements shifted by the lead time. So now, these 3 LFL rules allow us to generate the End-Item MRP. All we have to do is calculate one value and everything else is determined. So now we can determine our inventory policy from the planned order release row, how much to order, and when to order. So this ends the how-to video, MRP Part 2, End-Item MRP Safety Stock of 0. But this how-to video merely covers the mechanics of MRP. In class, I go into the concepts, applications, and extensions of MRP. But I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.